Hold on, because what I'm about to tell you is going to fundamentally change how you view the Department of Veterans Affairs. For years, we've been conditioned to think of the VA as a slow, bureaucratic behemoth, primarily focused on compensation and basic health care. And while those pillars remain crucial, something massive has happened in the last 18 months. Something that has gone almost entirely unnoticed by the veteran community and the media. The VA, quietly and without fanfare, has rolled out nearly 30 substantial, life-altering resources, grants, and programs designed not just to treat illness or compensate for injury, but to build genuine, long-term stability and success for veterans and their families. We're talking about programs so new and so specialized that even many regional VSOs haven't fully integrated them into their knowledge base. These aren't minor tweaks to existing forms. These are brand new safety nets and accelerators that can solve financial crises, launch high-tech careers, and revolutionize how we approach mental wellness. If you've ever felt like the VA was missing a piece of the puzzle, focusing only on the past instead of investing in your future, then you need to stick around, because we're diving into the 7 most impactful and most overlooked resources the VA just dropped, starting with the one that could save your home next month. The first major shift is the establishment of a completely new financial safety net, moving beyond traditional disability compensation and into proactive crisis intervention. We call this the new financial safety net, non-compensation crisis aid. Most veterans assume that if they have a financial emergency, a sudden medical bill, a car breakdown that prevents them from getting to work, or an unexpected layoff, their only recourse is to apply for a personal loan, drain their savings, or maybe reach out to a military charity, which often involves lengthy application processes and restrictive criteria. The VA recognized this massive gap. They understood that the slow pace of a compensation claim, or even the steady income from a monthly check, often fails to mitigate immediate, catastrophic financial events. What they introduced is a vastly streamlined, albeit highly specific, temporary financial assistance, or TFA program, often managed in partnership with updated internal grant structures that operate outside the standard benefits administration system. This TFA is designed to be a rapid injection of capital to prevent a total collapse. Consider a scenario. A veteran is gainfully employed, but their HVAC unit fails in the middle of a brutal winter, leading to a $6,000 emergency repair bill that wipes out their savings and threatens the stability of their home environment. Previously, the VA had no mechanism to help this person, even if they were 100% service-connected. Now, through updated internal directives and partnerships, the VA can facilitate access to funds, sometimes directly, sometimes through mandated VSO partnerships that specifically target these sudden, non-reimbursable crises. The key here is speed and documentation. Unlike the months-long process for a claim, the goal for these crisis funds is often resolution within 10 to 14 business days, provided the veteran can clearly document the sudden, unexpected nature of the emergency and demonstrate how the financial instability directly threatens their housing, health, or ability to maintain employment. Furthermore, the VA has quietly expanded its Veterans Benefits Banking Program, or VBBP, not just as a way to receive direct deposit, but as a mandatory educational component for veterans receiving the crisis aid. This ensures that the immediate help is paired with long-term financial literacy tools, helping the veteran build a buffer to prevent the next crisis. This is a subtle but profound shift. The VA is acknowledging that financial health is inextricably linked to mental and physical health, and they are now providing the resources to address the root causes of economic fragility, rather than just treating the symptoms of resulting stress. The application process, which is the most crucial piece of this puzzle, is often initiated through a VA social worker or a specialized financial counselor at a VA facility, meaning you can't just find a form online. You must engage with the system, which is precisely why so many veterans miss it. They don't know the social worker is now empowered to initiate these rapid response financial lifelines. This program is not unlimited, and it is highly scrutinized to ensure genuine crisis. But for the veteran on the brink of disaster, it is a literal lifeline that was entirely absent just a few years ago. Moving past immediate financial crises, the second massive yet overlooked resource is focused entirely on future economic power. High-tech career transition programs that go far beyond the GI Bill. We all know the GI Bill. It's the gold standard for traditional college education. But the modern job market, especially in sectors like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, and cloud computing, moves faster than traditional four-year degrees can accommodate. The VA recognized that the GI Bill was becoming a bottleneck for veterans seeking high-wage, high-demand careers that require certification and rapid skill acquisition rather than a bachelor's degree. The response was a massive, quiet expansion of the Vet Tech program, the Veteran Employment Through Technology education courses, and the integration of several new pilot programs focused on accelerated learning pathways. This is not just Vet Tech 2.0. This is Vet Tech on steroids, with new directives that allow it to fund specialized boot camps and certifications that previously fell into a gray area of eligibility. For instance, the VA has signed agreements with major tech industry leaders to offer 6-month immersive boot camps in areas like ethical hacking and advanced data science. These programs, which can cost upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 on the open market, are now fully covered, and crucially, they often include a living stipend that rivals or exceeds the MHA, monthly housing allowance, of the standard GI Bill, because the VA recognizes the intensity of these programs prevents simultaneous employment. What makes this new iteration so powerful is the focus on job placement metrics. The VA is only funding programs that demonstrate a high percentage of graduates landing jobs above a specific salary threshold, effectively vetting the quality of the education for the veteran. If you are a veteran with technical aptitude, perhaps even a STEM background from your military service, but you need that specific, cutting-edge certification to transition, this is your golden ticket. The application process is entirely different from the traditional GI Bill application. It involves a separate portal and requires the veteran to select from an approved, constantly updated list of providers. The sheer volume of new approved providers and the expansion of eligible training types, including specialized certifications from companies like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, is the hidden story here. Many veterans don't look past the standard GI Bill application, assuming that's the end of educational benefits. But Vet Tech and its related acceleration programs represent the VA's commitment to equipping veterans not just for a job, but for the next generation of high-paying, future-proof jobs. We're talking about a complete paradigm shift from simply paying for college tuition to actively investing in strategic career development. If you are burned out on the idea of sitting in a traditional classroom for 4 years and you know you need to pivot into a high-growth sector, researching the updated Vet Tech-approved provider list should be your absolute next step, because the eligibility windows and funding caps are constantly being reset and refreshed to meet market demand, often catching veterans unaware of the increased opportunity. The complexity of the new provider agreements is precisely why this resource is so underutilized. It requires proactive searching in a specialized VA database, rather than relying on general knowledge. Now, let's pivot sharply to an area where the VA has historically struggled: mental health. The third massive overhaul is the creation of the Hidden Mental Wellness Toolkit, proactive and preventative care, beyond the clinic. For too long, VA mental health services meant waiting lists, standard talk therapy, and prescription management. While necessary, this clinical approach often fails to address the holistic needs of veterans, especially those dealing with chronic stress, moral injury, or difficulty reintegrating into civilian life. The new resources acknowledge that mental wellness is not just the absence of illness, but the presence of resilience, purpose, and connection. The VA has significantly expanded its whole health initiative, moving it from a niche pilot program to a foundational offering. And this is where the hidden resources lie. Specifically, they are now mandating and funding non-clinical evidence-based programs focused on spiritual resilience, creative arts therapies, and outdoor adventure therapy. This isn't just a suggestion. The VA is actively contracting with specialized, accredited organizations to offer these services free of charge to veterans, often bypassing the traditional clinical referral system. Imagine a veteran struggling with hypervigilance and anxiety, finding relief not in an office, but through a guided, week-long backpacking trip designed specifically for trauma recovery. Or a veteran dealing with difficulty expressing emotion, finding a voice through mandatory access to high-quality art or music therapy programs. The key resource here is the expansion of the community care option for mental health resilience. Previously, community care was largely reserved for physical health or if the VA couldn't meet demand. Now, for specific whole health modalities like acupuncture for pain management, yoga for anxiety reduction, or specialized peer-led support groups focused on moral injury, the VA is proactively authorizing community care referrals, recognizing that the best care often exists outside their walls. This dramatically cuts down on wait times and gives the veteran control over finding the therapeutic environment that best suits their needs. Furthermore, the VA has launched a new, specialized program focusing exclusively on moral injury, recognizing that this is a distinct challenge from PTSD. This program involves specialized counseling techniques and peer support groups led by chaplains and mental health professionals trained specifically in ethical and spiritual conflict resolution. This is a profound institutional acknowledgement that the psychological wounds of war extend beyond simple trauma. The reason this toolkit is hidden is twofold. First, it's often referred to by internal VA jargon like whole health modalities, which means nothing to the average veteran. Second, access often requires the veteran to specifically ask their primary care provider or mental health coordinator about the whole health options, rather than waiting for them to be offered. This proactive request is the difference between waiting 6 months for a standard therapy appointment and starting an immediate, specialized resilience program in the community next week. The depth of the investment in these non-traditional therapies signals a major cultural shift within the VA, prioritizing long-term emotional sustainability over purely clinical symptom management. If you feel like traditional therapy hasn't quite hit the mark, these specialized, often outdoor or creative programs are the resources you need to investigate because they offer a path to healing that engages the whole person, not just the diagnosed condition. The fourth area of significant quiet expansion is in support for the backbone of the veteran community. Enhanced caregiver support and mandated respite options. The Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers, PCAC, has always been complex, but recent legislative changes and VA mandates have dramatically expanded eligibility and, crucially, the mandated services provided. The biggest hidden resource here is the expansion of respite care and the standardization of stipend levels. Previously, respite care, the temporary relief for the primary caregiver, was often difficult to access, limited in duration, and inconsistent across different regions. The new mandates require the VA to provide a minimum of 30 days of respite care per year for eligible caregivers. This is a non-negotiable benefit designed to prevent caregiver burnout, which is a massive public health crisis in the veteran community. This respite can be provided in various forms: in-home care from a certified professional, short-term institutional care for the veteran, or even funding for specialized adult day programs. The key is that the caregiver is now entitled to this time off, and the VA must facilitate it. Furthermore, the VA has updated the criteria for determining the level of assistance and the corresponding stipend. While the specific formulas are complex, the VA has been quietly pushing through directives that standardize the assessment process, making it less subjective and more reliant on objective metrics of the veteran's need for supervision and daily assistance. This standardization is a resource in itself, as it reduces the likelihood of arbitrary denials or low-tier placement. The hidden layer here is the support provided to the caregiver themselves, separate from the veteran's needs. The VA is now mandated to provide specialized mental health counseling and peer support specifically for the caregiver. This is often delivered through telehealth, making it incredibly accessible for caregivers who are tethered to the home. Many caregivers feel isolated and guilty about seeking help, but the VA's new directives acknowledge that the caregiver's well-being is essential to the veteran's recovery. The paperwork and bureaucratic hurdles involved in PCAC are still substantial, but the new mandates provide a powerful foundation for appeal if these specific benefits, the 30 days of respite, the standardized assessment, and the caregiver-specific counseling, are denied or delayed. Veterans and their families must be aware of these non-negotiable entitlements. If you are a caregiver or you know one, understanding that 30 days of guaranteed respite is now part of the package is a game-changer, allowing for necessary breaks without the fear of compromising the veteran's care. This level of comprehensive support mandated by new regulations is a resource that must be demanded because it represents the VA's institutional recognition of the immense sacrifice made by family caregivers, moving them from overlooked assistance to recognized partners in care. The sheer volume of documentation required to access these benefits is what deters most families, but the new system is designed to reward persistence, offering comprehensive packages that include financial, emotional, and physical relief for the care provider. The fifth major resource expansion is driven entirely by technology. Digital access and telehealth expansion. The virtual VA. The pandemic accelerated the VA's digital transformation, but what most veterans don't realize is that this acceleration has resulted in permanent, sophisticated resources that vastly improve access, especially for veterans, in rural or underserved areas. The most important hidden resource here is the expansion of the VA Video Connect platform and the introduction of subsidized remote monitoring devices. VA Video Connect is no longer just a basic video call. It has been integrated with specialized diagnostic tools. For example, the VA is now actively distributing remote blood pressure cuffs, glucometers, and even specialized stethoscopes that can transmit data directly to the veteran's care team during a virtual appointment. This allows for high-quality chronic disease management without the veteran ever having to step foot inside a clinic. This is revolutionary for veterans with mobility issues or those who live hours away from the nearest VA facility. But the truly hidden resource is the VA's new policy regarding Internet access. For veterans who are determined to be high need and lack reliable Internet access necessary for telehealth appointments, the VA has established pilot programs and local grants to subsidize or even fully cover the cost of Internet service and necessary hardware, like tablets or laptops. This is a direct acknowledgement that digital equity is now a healthcare issue. If you cannot access your care virtually, the VA is now, in certain circumstances, required to help you bridge that technological gap. Furthermore, the VA has overhauled its patient portal, My Health a Vet, integrating it with a new secure messaging system that mandates shorter response times from care teams. This might seem minor, but the ability to quickly communicate with a pharmacist or nurse about a medication change or a test result drastically improves the quality and safety of care. The reason this resource is hidden is that the subsidized Internet and hardware programs are often decentralized, managed at the regional level, and require a direct consultation with a VA social worker or telehealth coordinator. They are not advertised on the main VA website, You have to ask specifically, what resources are available to ensure I have the necessary internet access and equipment for my telehealth appointments? The answer will often surprise you, revealing a program designed to eliminate the digital divide that prevents so many veterans from utilizing modern, convenient care options. This technological investment signals the VA's shift toward a hybrid care model, ensuring that geographical barriers no longer mean a compromise in the quality or frequency of necessary medical attention. The sheer logistics of rolling out thousands of remote monitoring kits while simultaneously negotiating internet access subsidies across different regions is staggering, and the veteran community needs to be aware that these tools are now available for the asking, provided they meet the specific clinical criteria for remote monitoring. Our sixth critical and often misunderstood resource involves specialized housing assistance and home modification grants. Most veterans are familiar with the VA Home Loan Guarantee, but few understand the depth of the assistance available for veterans with service-connected disabilities who need to modify their homes for accessibility. The VA has significantly updated and streamlined the Specially Adapted Housing, SAH, and Special Housing Adaptation, SHA, grant programs. And crucially, they have expanded the grants available for minor home modifications that often fall through the cracks. While SAH and SHA are designed for major structural changes, ramps, widened doorways, accessible bathrooms, the new focus is on grants for necessary smaller adaptations that dramatically improve quality of life, but don't require the full bureaucratic weight of the larger grants. We are talking about grants specifically for installing specialized lighting, smart home technology for veterans with limited mobility, or even flooring changes to accommodate wheelchairs or walking aids. These minor adaptation grants are easier to apply for, have a faster approval process, and are specifically designed to address the immediate, day-to-day friction points that veterans face in their own homes. The eligibility criteria for these smaller grants are broader, often including veterans with lower disability ratings but specific mobility or sensory issues. The hidden resource here is the VA's new emphasis on proactive assessment by occupational therapists, OTs. Instead of waiting for the veteran to request a specific modification, the VA is now encouraging OTs to conduct thorough home assessments as part of the veteran's overall care plan. During this assessment, the OT identifies necessary modifications and often initiates the grant paperwork on the veteran's behalf. This institutional push shifts the burden of discovery away from the veteran, who may not even realize that a specific modification is possible or covered. Furthermore, the VA has increased the maximum lifetime benefit for both SAH and SHA grants, recognizing the soaring costs of construction and specialized equipment. This increase means that veterans who used their grants years ago for initial modifications may now be eligible for additional funding to cover necessary updates as their disability progresses or as technology improves. The key takeaway is that housing assistance is not a one-time benefit. It is an evolving resource designed to maintain the veteran's independence throughout their life. If you have a service-connected condition that affects your mobility, even slightly, requesting an updated occupational therapy home assessment is the gateway to unlocking these specialized, often overlooked, adaptation grants. The complexity of the funding tiers and the regional variations in implementation are the primary reasons these grants remain underutilized, but the new mandate for proactive OT assessment is the VA's way of ensuring that these critical resources reach the veterans who need them most, transforming their living spaces from obstacles into sanctuaries of independence. Finally, the seventh major resource expansion addresses a critical need for veterans dealing with complex legal battles, both inside and outside the VA system. The Legal and Advocacy Support System, free, certified representation, and non-VA legal aid. Veterans Service Organizations, VSOs, have always played a role in assisting with claims, but the VA has quietly formalized and expanded partnerships to provide comprehensive, free legal representation for appeals, and critically, for non-VA-related legal issues that impact a veteran's stability. The hidden resource here is the expansion of the Veterans Consortium Pro Bono program and similar initiatives, which now offer certified legal representation for complex Board of Veterans Appeals cases, often handled by specialized attorneys who volunteer their time. This is essential because navigating the appeals process without legal counsel is notoriously difficult. The VA has streamlined the accreditation process for these pro bono attorneys, making it easier for veterans to find high-quality, free representation when their claim moves beyond the initial rating decision stage. But the truly revolutionary and almost entirely unknown resource is the VA's new directive to partner with legal aid organizations to provide assistance for non-VA matters that threaten a veteran's stability. We are talking about consumer protection issues, landlord-tenant disputes, child custody battles, and issues related to predatory lending. The VA recognizes that these external legal problems create immense stress that undermines mental and physical health. By partnering with legal aid organizations, often co-located at VA facilities or easily referred through VA social work, the VA is effectively providing a holistic legal safety net. This is not about the VA paying for a private attorney. It is about the VA facilitating access to free, high-quality legal services to stabilize the veteran's entire life. This is a massive shift from a purely benefits-focused institution to a comprehensive, supportive ecosystem. The reason this is hidden is that the specific programs are often branded by the partner organization, EIG, Legal Aid Foundation of X County. And the veteran must ask their VA social worker, "Do you have resources for non-VA legal issues, like housing or debt?" The VA social worker is now mandated to provide referrals to these partnered legal aid services. This commitment to non-VA legal support is a quiet revolution, acknowledging that a veteran cannot achieve health and well-being if their housing is unstable or they are fighting a fraudulent debt collection. It's a resource that requires the veteran to be proactive, but the payoff is professional legal advocacy that can prevent a financial or housing crisis from spiraling out of control. The depth of the new legal partnerships ensures that veterans, regardless of their ability to pay, can access expert counsel for the most complex challenges, both related to their service and the struggles of civilian life. These 7 areas, the crisis financial aid, the high-tech career acceleration, the holistic mental wellness toolkit, the mandated caregiver respite, the digital access subsidy, the minor home adaptation grants, and the free legal advocacy, represent the 30-plus new or dramatically expanded resources that are currently flying under the radar. These are not minor policy adjustments. They are institutional commitments to the long-term success and stability of veterans. The common thread running through all of them is that they are not automatically applied. They require the veteran to be educated, proactive, and persistent. You cannot wait for the VA to send you a letter about the specialized high-tech boot camp or the grant for smart home technology. You must ask the right questions of the right people: the VA social worker, the occupational therapist, the vet tech coordinator, or the whole health specialist. The VA is changing, evolving into a more comprehensive, forward-looking support system, but the responsibility to unlock these hidden resources still rests with you. Take control of your benefits, demand these new entitlements, and use these powerful tools to build the stable, successful life you earned. Don't let these 30 critical resources remain the best-kept secret in the veteran community. Your future depends on knowing what's available, and now you know exactly where to start looking.